Greetings, everybody, and wherever you and your house church are gathering together today. So today we're celebrating Te Pohiri Sunday. Po is a post, and hiri means to tie. So the imagery here is that of an anchor, a place where we can anchor our waka. Te Pohiri is a Sunday put aside each year to celebrate the constitution of the Anglican Church in Aotearoa, New Zealand and Polynesia. So in 1992, the Constitution of the Church made a provision for 3 equal partners. And today, in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and Polynesia, we celebrate an identity of working alongside each other, praying with and for each other, and listening to one another, journeying together. This somewhat complex and unique arrangement draws us toward an imagery of all of us being woven together to create something far more beautiful than anything any of us could create on our own. I've been fortunate that in my lifetime, in my adventures around the world with Jesus, I've had several experiences where I've just thought, dang, this is absolutely incredible. This is so much bigger than me, so it must be a taste of God's kingdom. As followers of Jesus, we work hard, or we need to be working hard to understand what God's kingdom is. We're launching into a series next week called A Kingdom Of, where we will unpack together Jesus' words as he talks about the coming kingdom of God. I'm quite excited to go on that journey and wonder and learn together. But in my testimony, my earthly experiences, the moments where I've felt that deep sense of God's kingdom are often when I'm in spaces where I don't fully understand what's happening around me, but where I feel God's presence. And those spaces very often involve different things coming together in connection and unity. It's almost like when our ability to explain things with our knowledge and our mind is limited, we're able to more clearly see God. One of the first times I think I experienced that awe at the vastness of God is my first overseas trip to Malawi when I was 17. We walked into a worship service where people were worshiping God so incredibly different from my churches back home. My little 17-year-old mind was blown. I was halfway around the world. I didn't understand the words being said or the actions that people were doing, but yet we were all worshiping God together. And my being able to witness their worship strengthened my own connection with God. And then possibly like the peak of my lifetime experiences of these sorts of things, thus far anyway, although this one's quite hard to beat, was in 2008 when I found myself in Jerusalem on the temple steps. So this is the place where Peter preached the sermon at Pentecost, and thousands came to recognize Jesus as Lord that day. And this is often what's considered the birthplace of the church. And I happened to be there with about 1,000 other believers from all around the world. The crowd was led into musical worship, and people started singing together, many in their own language, but the same song. People were praying and praising God in unity, but so differently. It was incredibly powerful. It was powerful, obviously, because I was in Jerusalem, and I had been for days contemplating the life and the story of Jesus, and my heart was like in this place that I don't think I had been before. But it was also extremely powerful because I was worshiping together with people who were different from me. I was witnessing a vast number of different forms and styles and languages of worship all at once. And through that, my understanding of the bigness of God and the vastness of God's power was just blown right out of the water. I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the readings for today. So the reading is Isaiah 42:10-20, but I'm going to read for us verses 10 to 12. Okay, so these words are from before the time of Jesus, from the prophet Isaiah, about what is to come. Sing to the Lord a new song, his praise from the end of the earth, you who go down to the sea and all that fill it, the coastlands and their inhabitants. Let the desert and its cities lift up their voice, the villages that Kedar inhabits. Let the inhabitants of Selah sing for joy. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let them give glory to the Lord and declare his praise to the coastlands. There's this beautiful imagery in this passage through which we can almost see the word of the Lord, the praises of God roll out into all the corners of the world. You see, much of the power of the gospel is in the fact that it's for everyone. It crosses culture, language, worldview. It's more powerful than all of the things that separate us and make us different. In fact, each of our own understandings of God are arguably quite small if they only include our own perspective. I'm going to pause here and show you a bit of a funny video, funny yet profound. This is from Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood, which those of us at morning tea at church on Tuesday learned as we did the quiz together that he's now 92 years old. Side plug, come to morning tea at church during the week because we have a really good time. Okay, so this is a story about a man named Walt Kowalski, a recently widowed Korean War veteran, alienated from his family, quite angry at the world. Walt's young neighbor, Tao Van Lor, is pressured by his cousin into trying to steal Walt's prized 1972 Ford Torino for his initiation into a gang. Walt thwarts the theft, and he subsequently develops this relationship with the family next door who's quite different from him.
Hey, Walt. What are you up to? We're having a barbecue. You want to come over?
What do you think?
There's tons of food.
Yeah, just keep your hands off my dog.
No worries. We only eat cats.
Really?
No, I'm kidding, you moron. Come on, you can be my special guest.
No, I'm fine, right here. Yeah. Son of a bitch.
Okay, so what have you had to eat today?
Oh, I had a piece of cake and a little beef jerky.
Come on over and get something to eat. We've got beer, too.
Well, I might as well drink with strangers rather than drink alone after all. It is my birthday.
Really? Happy birthday, Wally.
Don't call me Wally. Well, no Pabst, plenty of beer.
How's he say? When in Homo.
Hey, what am I doing wrong? Every time I look at somebody, they always look at the ground.
叔，我叫你別隔得好臭㗎，落家坐俾我姐㗎啦。
What's she saying?
你揾到我好啦，
No, no, she's not.
Yeah, no, she didn't.
俾得切制當你落家坐俾我姐㗎啦。
She did.
Hey. Hey, what are all you fish heads looking at anyway?
I think we should go into the other room.
Sorry. A lot of people in this house are very traditional. Number one, never touch a Hmong person on their head, not even a child. Hmong people believe that the soul resides on the head, so don't do that.
Well, sounds dumb, but fine.
Yeah, and a lot of Hmong people consider looking someone in the eye to be very rude. That's why they look away when you look at them.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, some Hmong people tend to smile or grin when they're yelled at. It's a cultural thing. It expresses embarrassment or insecurity. It's not that they're laughing at you or anything.
God, you people are nuts. But the food feels so good, smells good too.
Well, of course. It's Hmong food.
Okay. Can I come back for seconds?
No doubt. Here you go.
Thanks. You know, you mentioned about looking at people. He's been staring at me the whole evening.
That's Korku. He's a Lord family shaman.
And what's that? Some sort of a witch doctor or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, Boogaboo.
You're funny, Wally. Sao chắc mình sẽ thông minh cả?
Một tay chỉ của hai cơ đẹp, của hai thao mình cả lũ năng cho thao mình cả mong cà phê cho thao mình cả.
Korku's interested in you. He heard what you did. He would like to read you. It'd be rude not to allow him this. It's a great honor.
Yeah, sure. Fine by me.
All right, take a seat.
Here, okay.
Cú trả hai cơ để cú hai cơ lũ năng, cậu này nhau lột trái chỉ tao cơ lệ, mẹ lại nó cả sung xa cầm cầu cầu mày
He says that people do not respect you. They don't even want to look at you.
mà nãy nó mà cái nó rau nó mò nó chắc ăn này thôi chân nó luôn này
He says the way you live, your food has no flavor. You're worried about your life.
cái luôn này cái ta luôn một lại mày cái ối không cái dục kế là mà cái tông trai cái luôn này cái tông
You
trai
made a
xây cái
mistake
luôn
in
này
your
chỉ một
past
cái
life,
bạn mày
but like a mistake that you did, you're not satisfied with?
là nó cái nho mà cái chỉ một cái cao xa chỉ một cái bạn mày tụi cái tụi khen
He says you have no happiness in your life. It's like you're not at peace.
I'm sure all of us, if we think about it, can remember a time when our world got bigger or felt bigger because we started to understand somebody different from us, or somebody different from us understood us, saw past our culture, our behavior, our worldview, and saw us as God sees us. I also want to encourage us or to wonder about this concept in terms of styles of worship that we may have, or ways that we may have of expressing our faith that are different to those around us. I think many of us will have examples in our lives and in our journeys where we've seen God in these ways, or our view of God has been broadened through these things. There's big examples of this, like the ones I gave today, so different countries or different cultures, but there's also smaller examples of this, because even in our own country, our own culture, our own church, we're all very different, and we encounter God in different ways. In your house churches this morning, I want to encourage you to discuss those two things. Have you had a time when your world got bigger or felt bigger because you started to understand somebody different from you and how God made them? Or maybe you felt seen and known as God sees and knows you by someone different from yourself. And also, have you had times in your life when your view of God has been broadened by witnessing the faith and the worship of those different from yourself? And this Sunday, as we celebrate Te Poheri Sunday, let us remember what a gift it is that God made us different. Because we have an invitation to encounter God together, not in spite of our differences, but because of them. We need one another, because without one another, our view of God and God's greatness and glory and power would be incomplete.